And we are live. Perfect. Morning, Lucas, and welcome. Thank you for joining us for this Leadoo webinar.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Totally, my pleasure, and I'm sure it will be the absolute pleasure also for everyone attending. Um, where are you currently located? Where are you sitting today?
I am sitting in my office in London. I'm living in East London, so this is pretty much where I'm most of the time if I'm not traveling. Sometimes I'm traveling to the center, but most of the time I'm in East London.
Okay, okay. How's the weather? This is like very basic, like small talk question, but every time it's intriguing.
I could show you. I would need to wait for a camera to change the view, but actually, the weather is very nice. As you can see,
Uh-huh.
beautiful
Oh,
sky.
yeah.
And yeah, you wouldn't expect such a nice weather in England, but I think the spring is coming. Spring is coming.
It truly seems like so. I'm slightly jealous. Uh, but maybe we are gonna get spring here soon. We have a beautiful sunlight today, but we also do have like tens of centimeters of snow still. So
Wow. Now
yes.
I'm jealous. I haven't seen snow for years.
Welcome to Finland. We have plenty for you as well. And I can see people joining. Welcome. Please type in the chat where you are joining from. It's always interesting to see where are we being now interacted with. So one from Finland, then Lucas from London. Please, everyone on the line, just say hi and say where you're joining us today. And we are gonna run a few polls also throughout the webinar, so we can start with this easy one, so everyone gets the hang of it, how the polls work. So now I opened up the first poll, and we're asking, how are we feeling this Friday? And Lucas, how are you feeling this Friday?
I feel very well. I can see that also we have like so many people from different places. There is Lee from Isle of Anglesey, Wales, UK, and I was there. I was there in the place called Llandudno. So greetings. Yeah, Friday is good. Friday is always good, especially when the weather is good. And yeah, can't complain really.
Perfect. And we're seeing a few answers coming to the poll also. Someone is feeling full of energy. It's okay. And as per usual, I would say some people feel like thank God it's Friday. Um, some Fridays do be like this. So it's this is what it is. But I think we can start moving towards our very key topic and actually go through all the introductions and everything. So first of all, welcome everyone also on the line. I can see you are joining still. Uh, Today's topic is how to get the most out of your website. Hi, Norway. And we are now joined by Lucas, and Lucas, you can tell a bit more about yourself, and please, what are the three biggest pet peeves you have when it comes to websites?
Yeah, so my name is Lucas. I'm living in London for the last 15 years. I was working from here more than 15 years in various companies. Then a couple of years ago, I decided to start my own consultancy. I had a quite cool domain, SEO.London. So I was like, the only thing that I'm missing right now is a business behind that domain. So I started the business behind that domain, and since then I'm helping various type of businesses with an organic strategy, with an SEO, as a consultant. What may give me a headache about websites? That's a good question. There is a couple of things. We were talking about this via email a couple of days ago, but I wanted to mention this once again. Like, when you are working in SEO, you not noticing that after a while, everyone is writing about the same. The only thing is like they're writing bigger pieces, longer pieces. Sometimes it can be more insightful. Most of the time, you're repeating everybody else, and I can see the same virus is right now affecting YouTube. Everybody is trying to make a material which is 10 minutes or longer, even if you are looking for a simple question like, how to do this or that on Mac. Sometimes you're looking for a tutorial, and the guys are like, inflating this piece of information to the level that you really don't want to watch this, mainly because they want to put their more adverts, mainly because the algorithm will treat them a bit different way when the piece of content is longer. I think this is the biggest problem at the moment.
And I think I can relate to this, especially when it comes to YouTube. And for example, searching for a tutorial on some very simple thing, I'm not interested in hearing everyone's life story every single time. I just want my question answered. Thank you. It's the same thing as we have seen also highly now in memes when it comes to recipes. There's 3,000 words, and then there's the actual key part is like condensed in 50 words. So
Exactly. It's a big problem. It's a big problem, and I think Google is partially responsible for the fact that we are facing this right now like that, because everyone is noticing that longer pieces of content tend to rank better, so everyone is writing longer. Uh, as long as you can go more insightful, there is no problem. But if, like you said, there is a simple question and you're looking for an answer in a wall of text, that is a problem.
yeah, but so we're so glad to have you here today, and for everyone joining. Hi, my name is Jemmy. I'm a marketing operations person at here at Leadoo, and we as a leader, we want to make sure that every single website can convert at its best. So we have created a platform for this with different tools, very deep insights, and like this is our our beef. And to add maybe to Lucas yours biggest headaches when it comes to different websites. Um, I think my biggest ones are some pages are extremely difficult when you try to convert. So it like I need to be a show animal and jump through hoops to be able to express my intent that I would be interested in buying. So it gets tricky. It's even counterproductive, some would say. And then pushing everyone down the same funnel. It's also a big like red cross for me. And then static forms, it just don't. It's a hard pass. Thank you. But since we promised to go through these like three different points, um, let's start with some basic numbers first. So let's start with this. Less than 2% of your website visitors convert into leads. And these are just the people who actually got there and were willing to jump through hoops and do whatever tricks they needed to do to convert. So this means that there's nearly everyone else, like at least 98% that do not convert. Lucas, I bet this is something that you have also seen, and especially considering how people find the websites where they come to and how these SEO things actually do affect this quite a bit. I must I assume that you are painfully aware of this number.
Absolutely. When you have access to hundreds of Google Analytics profiles, you can see that this is very true. Websites are converting on the level of one, sometimes lower percent. You may get sometimes higher, but this is mainly for a very, very specific SaaS or e-commerce. But overall, yeah, I would totally agree with what you said.
So when we go a bit deeper and like closer to today's topic, how do we bridge this gap, and how do we make sure that the website is an actual selling machine? Because as we stated also in the event description, and as we have seen also a lot of comments, posts, discussion pieces, that uh, for example, the pandemic made companies swift way more to the like digital side of things, even when they were not they did not demand on their website. So how do we make sure that your website can actually work as your 24/7 selling machine? And we can start with the 3 hot tips when it comes to SEO. So, Lucas, please, can you walk us through what are the current 3 hottest
Absolutely.
tips to take into account and
Absolutely.
consideration?
So I just put these 3 hot tips. That's how I'm working with my clients. First is semantics, and there are tools which are helping you with schema markups, with giving a bit of more context to beyond keywords. One of these tools is InLinks, which helps you to internally link pages, and thanks to that, increase the engagement, make people willing to go deeper. The second thing is on-page technicalities. This is something that very often is not taken serious enough. So I just mentioned here SEM Rush, which is one of the leading right now crawler, which means that crawling website the same way like Google does, and collecting lots of data about what else can be done to make website even more perfect, even more nice for Google to digest. And thanks to that, your website will be ranking higher. For example, it can be fixing broken links or making website faster, making sure that images are not blocked in robots, making sure that the title tags are not too long. That's are this element that in user eyes may be absolutely fine and unnoticeable. For the Google, these things are very important to make sure that they are fixed. And then the third one is a snapshot. Is pretty much like most of the websites I'm working with have some history. So what I'm looking at, it is what are the keywords that historically performed quite well? What are the pages that historically performed quite well? And how can we push this hidden gems, this kind of areas that already we know that they work on the little higher level? So keywords which are performing quite well but are not yet number one, push them up. Pages that have a very good engagement, but maybe there is a still gap to improve. Make sure that content is even more insightful. Put some interactive elements, and so on, and so on, and so on. So that's a snapshot. The one more thing I can mention here that is not on the slide, but it's also very, very important, is a gap. Gap is something that you're looking on your competitors, what they are ranking about, what they are writing about, especially cross section, like couple of competitors, and you may want to again write about something similar but better. Not always easy, because very often you may end up into repeating the same what was said before, but if you can, and if you have a knowledge, you should try to create a content which is even better to your competitors.
Definitely. I just posted a poll asking if our people on the line are doing SEO in-house or do they have a partner for that. 80% says to some extent they're doing it. 20% says fully. Um, then now there's, well, a bit more division, but what would be also like, considering that you offer the services to a lot of companies, what are the pitfalls that you have seen, like tips to avoid the, for example, two most common SEO pitfalls for companies?
So the thing with SEO is that SEO can be extremely time consuming. It can be a bottleneck, and the resources are never unlimited. So you really need to focus on elements that can be handled. You cannot ask company to drop everything and start doing SEO only. Companies need to run lots of other processes, and these processes are important. But focusing on these things that will work. For example, okay, we need to write the content. We have no resources. Let's write a brief. Let's send this to outsourced resources. Let's send this to content marketing agency, which will write. Then we will review, we will upload this, and we will check how it performs. This kind of things are very important. I would on the other side be very cautious about saying like, oh, SEO is not our thing, we are not doing this because we have no resources. That's a really bad approach. You really need, even in this minimal aspect, and that's where people like myself or my colleagues are coming with an experience and saying like, okay, don't do this, don't do that, but do this and this, because that is the way to get better results with lower resources engagement.
And I think that is very, very important, especially sometimes the outside pair of eyes and expertise is highly needed, especially when it comes to prioritizing tasks, understanding what will be the like biggest impact, how to do it, and how to implement it to be part of an actual process. Because I think sometimes, especially marketers who are always short on time, we want to do something that provides us quick wins, and we are ready to do maybe things one off, but not as a continuous process. And I think it's very important sometimes to highlight that optimization is a process and it's an ongoing thing, and not just one off, we do it just once. But I think you put this beautifully down to the material we have, since I asked how do we bring these three tips to practice. And I think this is very, very well put together from these things. Do you want to walk us through?
Yes, absolutely. So the first one is Inlinks, and similar solution. Inlinks.net can scale up this kind of what I call boring task. Going page by page and internally link this can be a killer task, especially if you have a couple of thousand articles. And then when you will remove one article, going backward and finding which internal links needs to be removed will be also very expensive in terms of resources engaged. So number one is this kind of process, semi-automated process that helps you to scale up when you have a very limited resources. The second thing is the weekly crawl is a must, and very important is that the tasks that needs to be executed after crawl is done are delegated to the right stakeholders. So, for example, three owner directions can be delegated to the front end dev, and the title tag too long issue can be delegated to the content team. Then number three is understanding what content deliver the best. And I am here using, this is like an extra layer of data. In Google Analytics, you normally don't have information about keywords that perform the best. And to make sure that we have this information, we can use a software called Keyword Hero. Keyword Hero is a software which will allow you to gather and marry data from Google Analytics and Google Search Console together. And then for e-commerce or SaaS, we can easily notice what keywords are performing the best and focus only on these keywords rather than going broadly on all the keywords and again fall into the short of the resources. And then number 4, it's kind of a quick win, a cool strategy, especially when your website is on some known CMS. DeepL is an AI-driven translator, and you can integrate DeepL through the plugin called Translate Press to your WordPress, for example, or to Magento or any other the CMS with a bit of code. Now, because of the quality of translation is almost there, almost perfect. Maybe it's not 100% perfect, but it's 95% perfect. Then you can easily jump over this language boundary, language problem, language that very often is this kind of wall that doesn't allow you to be visible in other countries. So I think DeepL offer at the moment about 15 languages, including this kind of niche languages, I would say, like Lithuanian, Estonian, Hungarian, and your website can be easily translated by bulk without any usage of any resources and on minimal cost to the other languages. Now that languages can start ranking in Google, and it can start bringing traffic from other countries. Sometimes businesses are saying like, okay, but we don't speak French, we don't speak Spanish. And then I'm saying like, listen, the fact that people are searching something in Spanish or French does not automatically means they don't speak English. It's just the behavior. They typing in their mother tongue. You probably also are typing in your mother tongue. I'm typing in my mother tongue. And that doesn't necessarily mean we don't know how to speak English. That's the behavior. And even if there would be plenty of customers who doesn't speak English, that's this problem I wish everyone would like to have. So you then sorting out this by recruiting people who can speak language that you can see is needed.
Definitely. And I want to highlight to everyone now, like joining us on the line, you can download this presentation and this material. So you will actually then have all of these tips like downloaded on your computer. So please do it, and then you are able to revisit all of these things again. And I actually now posted a poll asking if people are going to test some of these tips for themselves, and 67% say that yes, they are. So 75% now. So now it's super nice that it's actually very, very practical and something easy to implement. So when we are going forward, of course, there's like other things too that you need to take into account when considering your website's performance. It's the SEO, it's technical bits, then it's the on-site conversion capabilities and content. All of the things, they tie in together. Now we have fleshed these out to like separate bits and pieces to keep it very, very practical for everyone. But just as a like a really, really quick reminder, how do you calculate a conversion rate from your website? So it's very, very simple for this. But as we jot it down, usually the hurdle is that companies don't know the actual numbers on what to count in, what to leave out. So this might already pose the first challenge, but there's nothing that you can't overcome, because I would say every single time when we are talking about conversion rate optimization or optimizing anything, it's very, very important to also know the things you don't know and the things that you are missing. Because then when you understand your own baseline extremely well, it's way easier to start developing also the knowledge and understanding of what you need to understand to be able to effectively then optimize in the long run. So what I wanted to point out is checking the conversion capabilities of the website. So it's not only the just technical bits and bobs and do you have the tracking. That's like I wanted to leave it from here and go with this like very like holistic approach. So conversion points is definitely a thing that we see painstakingly often. There might not be enough conversion points. There might not be the correct ones when we are considering the customer's journey on the website. For example, if someone would appear on your website through a Google search, uh, are they already ready to book a demo or request a quote? Or would they maybe need to read more? Would they be needed to direct differently? Um, and here, not pushing everyone down the same funnel. So do you have actually taken into account all of these different uh, like buyer's journey phases when you are considering your conversion points? Then the other bit is navigation. Is it easy to use? And when we are thinking about ease of use, we can't necessarily use ourselves as an example or as a focus group trying to like make the decision over if it's easy to use or not. Customers eventually do it for us. And then does it actually help to navigate forward? So does it really provide um, what you need and what the customer needs to move on their customer journey? So very often the navigations are places where companies store stuff. And then content. And this is also a point, like every bit of these are tying in when it comes to the SEO and other optimization bits. But from content perspective, of course, is it interesting? Is it, as Lucas said, not just repeating what everyone else has said, but does it actually provide value? Is it possible to convert? Have you made it easy for the person reading or person visiting your content to convert? Can they do some action with the content? And is it made customer first? Lucas, would you like to add something or comment on these things?
I think what you said on the beginning, that the same funnel, this is the biggest problem. The content is different, the intent is different, and very often you see that people are trying to use exactly the same call to actions, and only limited number of websites is using this kind of customize call to actions. I remember when I was working in Uswitch, we were customizing this call to actions to the to match the what is on the page. Yeah, so we were a price comparison website, but when we were writing about boiler covers insurance, then we were talking in the call to action also about boiler cover insurance. So that's what where I'm going as well with my website. When someone is looking for when someone is reading about because people are searching about core web vitals consultant for hire or redirection consultant for hire, then the call to action also needs to be related to that.
Definitely. And I would say that these things are something like call to actions, especially that there can be too little or there can be too much, or like the whatever you count as a conversion point. And like as a reminder, like conversion points can be anything from newsletter signups, event signups, demo requests. All of these things can count as a conversion point. I actually now popped a poll for us asking how many different conversion points you have on your website. So please click the answer. This will be very, very interesting. But how do we then work with, like, for example, starting to optimize, getting better results from the previous points? Would be, for example, something like this. So analyzing the current situation and know where you stand, and map out also what you don't know. This is very important, as stated before. Like, it's important for us to know also the things that we are currently missing or that we would need. Then, based on your initial analysis, create a hypothesis and decide the best way to test. So the best way to take this into action and create something from it. Then run a test with your preferred chosen method, whatever it might be. Run the test and make sure that you keep documenting along the way. The documentation throughout the whole process is very important. Documentation might sound extremely heavy and time consuming, but it's also very important, and it's not actually that heavy or time consuming once you actually just get the hang of it, and it becomes a habit. And the test always should have a clear goal that can be communicated with numbers. So what do we want to see? What kind of involvement we want to see? What needs to happen so we can measure this in a reliable manner? And then yet again, documenting and repeating. And the repetition is where it actually does become a process and not just a one-off thing. So not trying to see these as silver bullets, if you will. So not just something you do once, and if it didn't necessarily work, then we just ditch it. It's very important to persist when it comes to optimization. Was it then optimization for search engines, or like a broader conversion rate optimization? Whatever it is, it needs to be continuous, and it needs to be like created in a process way. And it's also important also mentally to keep in mind that the tests will fail and the results won't always be there, and the like trajectory might not always be like very steep hockey stick. But the failing is absolutely crucial, because then you found out something that didn't work, and then when you document the things that you learned that didn't work, it's easy to take these into account when creating the next next tests, creating the next analysis, and trying to come up with the best possible ways of going about these things. Lucas, especially when it comes to optimizing for search engines, how much do you highlight, for example, the documentation part?
The documentation in what sense?
For example, if you are doing this like continuous development, how do you, for example, suggest for your clients to keep it in the books somehow?
Yeah, so we are trying to have kind of like internal wiki knowledge base or something like that, and that can be even like a Asana or Jira, where we're storing all the information, or it can be, you know, sometimes some companies have a wiki. We had like wiki in HomeAway back in the day. It was like 12 years ago. We had internal Wikipedia where everything about meetings and so on and so on and so on was stored there. And then, you know, someone was joining company could go into the period before he was in the company or she was in the company, and see what was there. So I'm not potentially the best in keeping documentation because I'm still trying, finding solutions rather. So I really like to work with somebody who is inside organization who can keep this kind of documentation in order.
Yeah, and I think it's especially like when we are working with a partner, the documentation should be done by the in-house person, so the
Yeah.
documentation actually does stay in-house and it's not relying only on the like agency part. So definitely like on you, on like with you with this. Um, then if we think about like content and making content converting, this is also something that I think every single marketer has come across. Was it website content or blogs, cases, any kind of article, video content? The repetition is one. Like, yes, everyone has already written about the thing you want to write about, and it might be very difficult to get really creative on how to create something that has not been said yet. Um, but so often it actually also comes down to, is it made customer first? But how do you see it, Lucas? I think it's probably quite easy for you to spot if a piece of content has been done SEO first than customer first.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's very often this kind of um in Poland there is this kind of topic which Sunday will be shops will be open. So when you go into this article and you're reading these articles, it's such a gibberish. It's just wrote for SEO, just over and over and screwed all the words again and again and again. So something like that, I am against of. Um, on the other hand, important to say that content per se is not always to convert in the first session. Content is to bring people after and on some point to convert, and it's quite challenging and very important to make sure that we're tracking this, and we try to understand, because someone could easily challenge us and say like, oh, show me how many conversions this piece of content bring. Zero. But removing all this content will cause no impact in the short term and very big harm in the long term perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, content is a very specific way. Content marketing, it's a very specific way to convert users. It's not an e-commerce way. When I see, for example, a store which is selling an electric tools, like heavy electric tools, and they are getting the best conversions from keywords that I don't understand even. That are like D5406, because that's the model of a driller that they know about, and they are not looking for which driller should I buy today, or what kind of electric tool I should buy today. No, they want to have Makita D50508, and they not even writing Makita or DeWalt. They just writing the model, enter first results, buy, give me 3 drillers, for example. Yeah, but this is e-commerce with a content with a SaaS. This is different. And I wanted to mention one more thing, that if we're talking about content, there is two fundamental different approaches to content. One is like content per se, written about to match demand. The other one is the inventory base. So all the kind of like property websites, that's the inventory base. More properties you have in specific district, more traffic potentially you will get. If you have no properties in Manchester, why would you rank on keyword properties in Manchester? That makes no sense. Yeah. So I also like, I was doing a couple of tests, creating a database of movies, and the keyword was, can I watch movie name on Netflix? Can I watch movie name on Netflix? And so on and so on. And the amount of queries is huge, but it only works when there is this kind of critical mass, a couple of thousand records, loaded, and then when you aggregate all this single clicks all together, then the daily basis there is a nice traffic.
And I think that's it's a very good point that there's like some, of course, naturally some differences between e-com and, for example, SaaS, but the same um like same laws in a way work, and like in taking consideration the customer and the intent that they are like presenting with this. So I wrote it down in a few bits. So if we think about product related content, service related content, every single business more or less has either or both. So we need to make sure every single time when we're writing this on the website that it's understandable, and it's understandable for the person who visits your website the first time. As Lucas, you mentioned in the beginning, that one of your biggest pet peeves is actually websites that don't clearly state what they are doing or what they are
Yeah.
for.
Oh, this is the biggest headache. You visiting website, which is doing something. This is the problem with SaaS. And
Yeah,
you're visiting this website, and you see this cliche of explanatory video. Hello, are you looking for this? Do you have a problem with that? Don't talk to me this language. Tell me what you're doing. And if you can explain me this in 60 seconds in one paragraph, that means that you're doing the right job. If after reading or after watching an explanatory video which doesn't show a single screenshot, I don't know anything about feeling of the application, how it looks, and so on and so on. On the other side, here is the recruitment. One of the SaaS I'm working with doing a fantastic job. On the homepage, there is a big screenshot of the tool. It's about helping with a recruitment process. Amen. Nothing else needs to be done. I'm not a recruiter. I know that this tool is not for me, but I understand what they're doing.
definitely. And I would say, like, when it comes to, of course, all of this, it's important that they are SEO friendly. Like when we are creating something, we actually do take the bigger picture also into account. We don't create content for the sake of conversions alone, or we don't create content for the sake of just creating content alone. Every piece of content needs to serve a purpose, and they need to be created in a customer centric manner. But what I see, especially with blog posts, case studies, these when actually companies do invest a lot of time in creating such content pieces, these content pieces usually lack any kind of conversion point, especially a like relevant one. So there might be some like small share in Facebook button, but to whom I would share it to my mother.
Exactly, exactly, and this is the same problem with writing, but no one's know to whom you're writing, and then at the end of the day, this is another problem when you are an SEO. You're coming to the company and you see what they wrote about for last 2 3 years, and you're saying, okay, so let's move this, let's make this content perform better, and then they saying like, no, 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 this is not what we are selling. This is upper the funnel. Here is a product page. And then the first thing is like, if this is not what you're selling, why are you writing constantly about these things? You're writing your blog in isolation to your product. And then you're taking an SEO and you're saying like, yeah, forget about the blog. That's not important. Here is our product. And it doesn't, I know that we sound right now like we're complaining a lot, but I think we are pinpointing the problems that exist in the ecosystem at the moment.
Definitely. And I like how you highlighted the recruitment part there, and especially like putting the candidate also first. Now it's been a huge topic, like the Great Resignation, people leaving the companies in masses, which means that the companies actually are in desperate need of luring in talent, and especially highly specialized talent. And still companies do, the 40-line demand lists, and like the best like job specs might have one sentence, two sentences about the team, or something more about the like work itself. It's not very lucrative, especially considering that it's definitely in so many cases currently the candidates market. They can choose. So if you want to get the best candidates actually engaging with your company, if you want them to actually also apply, make the content engaging, make the content candidate first, and make it easy for them to apply. Like, long gone are the days when candidates actually willingly wanted to fill in these like 8-step forms which take like full day to fill in, and then you still need to attach your CV and your cover letter. For what? For what actual purpose? Like, it's like it makes no sense. If someone can make it make sense for me, I highly appreciate it, but seriously, like, also making it as easy is serving everyone in this situation. And I put out quickly like three bits on what to do with the previous points. And for product and service, of course, make it about the customer and collect feedback when creating the content. Collect feedback both internally, of course, and externally. You can have focus group of your existing customers or your network, like someone to spar it actually with, and then it's on the content creator or the team creating it to make sure that it actually does fit, and like check all the boxes when it comes to other things such as SEO, readability, all of these things. And then make the pages and the content in general easily convertible. So provide suitable action and conversion points. Don't only push everyone down to the same funnel, down to the same contact us, for example. Because if there's someone whose intent is slightly lower, they might appreciate a softer conversion point compared to someone who wants to order the 3 of the maquitas Lucas just mentioned. So very, very different kind of visitor, very, very different customer journey, and different buyer's journey. Take it into account also with the content. And blogs and articles, just add the conversion points. It's the easiest thing to start. Just add relevant conversion points. Someone and their mother and the mother's neighbor, they are not probably your ideal customers. So the share on Facebook might not provide any value. But for example, book a speed date coffee with our specialist is. So also trying these different things. And recruitment, make it about the candidate, and actually sell the company, sell the position, sell the idea in the same way you're selling your products. And if you're selling your products very well or your services very well, this shouldn't be too big of an ask. And make it easy for the candidate to convert, make it easy for them to apply, and make them want to apply. It's the same intent thing as it is with products and services as well. Making it easy, taking them into account, making it actually for them, and not just shouting our own message the loudest and hoping that our own voice comes on top of everyone else's. Lucas, is there something, especially when it comes to for example, adding the conversion points from also from the SEO perspective, tracking perspective, that would be important to keep in mind when doing these things?
Yeah, so I like to break this wall of text I mentioned this last time, that when you have like so many text, so much like 1,500 words, and then you have inline call to actions, then this is really cool that you can break this kind of, wall of text. And I think the Leadoo is a good example of having this kind of really nice, sweet approach with widgets, which can be embedded inside the text, and that makes the job, that makes automatically content much more engaging, and the chances for conversions are much higher.
Yeah, and once you mentioned some tools, some plugins, some of these actually might slow the website down a bit. It's a good thing to also keep in mind. But not to toot our own horn, but to toot um, Leadoo has been tested to be the lightest like conversion widget, the tool, the platform on the market. So there is no negative effect on the SEO score. There's no effect on the page speed. So Google doesn't punish you for slowing it down. That's also quite important.
Absolutely.
Um, but I think like easy, right? Like we have gone through a lot of things. Super simple, like uh, we know it always takes time. We know that it takes resources, and it might take a minute to get really like into the thick of it. And there's like a nice also three-pointer way of putting this, like three things you need to do: activate and understand in which stage the client, the customer, the visitor is in. Um, Activate them to explore information relevant to the buyer stage, and make it easy. And we can put this on every single bit we have gone through today. Um, like, yes, activate, take care, and take into account the intent they have. Show them you care. And then convert, of course. Once they're activated, um, it's easier to get them converted in the pace and way they feel the most comfortable with. So not shoving everyone down the same funnel and thinking that every single person is the same, or every single visitor needs to fill the same exact form every single time, but making it easy for them, making it personalized, also the conversion point, very important. And then understand, here again, analyze, understand, know the numbers. If you don't know the numbers, then this is a good time to start getting, actually looking at the numbers. Understands why the visitors are activated, how they were activated, what worked and what didn't. And this will allow you to convert, of course, more, but also will help, all of the numbers will help when you consider continuing optimizing any of the pieces we have discussed today, be it then any SEO things, be it conversion rate optimization, any of these. The understanding needs to be there. If it's not there, it's fine. That's why we have experts such as Lucas. We have platforms that provide this information. There's a lot of things to help you. It's not that you need to do this alone, but this is like a nice three-step breakdown, maybe, of the whole session we have had today. What do you think, Lucas?
I think that people potentially should be brave and don't worry about experiments with conversion rate. That's what mostly, you are not a library, you are a business most of the time. So conversion is the one of the most important.
Definitely. this time we actually didn't have any open-ended questions during the sign-up process. So there is like none of those that we can now easily reel in. Of course, if anyone in the chat now has a question, great time to shoot it. And if you come up with questions later, you can connect with myself and Lucas in LinkedIn. And like we very warmly welcome you to do so. We are happy to discuss all and everything that we went through today. And please, if you didn't download the material just yet, click it, uh, download it, go through it. Maybe it will also spark up some questions. So at least nothing yet in the chat. Not yet. But please contact us, connect us in LinkedIn. We are here for you. Lucas, do you want to wrap it up and give people one bit food for thought for the weekend?
Yes, absolutely. So first of all, thank you for having me here. It was a pleasure and honor. If you want to contact me, and then I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on seo.london. And for this weekend, think how you can break the wall of text, text when you have huge text, very long articles, how you can break this and make your business performing thanks to that better.
Absolutely perfect. Thank you so much, Lucas, for joining us today. And thank you, everyone on the line. I hope that this was very, very practical and helpful for you all. And we're looking forward to seeing you in the next webinars. Thank you and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.